Hi, I'm Kelly Morrissey. I have been teaching English as an additional language to adult newcomers in southwestern Ontario for the last 10 years, and I'm here today to review the book Using Linguistically Appropriate Practice, A Guide for Teaching in Multilingual Classrooms by Roma Chumak-Horbatsch. The publishers sent me the book and asked me if I would review it, even though I don't teach children, and I agreed, and I'm so glad I did, because the book is just fascinating and powerful, and I'm very glad I read it, even if it took me 2 or 3 months to do it in between other things I have to do. Before I get started reviewing this book, I think it would be good for you to get some background. I'm going to put a link in this blog post and at the bottom of this YouTube video to the author's own video introducing her first book, which was called Linguistically Appropriate Practice. And that way I don't have to repeat things that she can say better than I can. So I suggest you go there first to get the background knowledge and then come back. Okay, so this book builds on her first one. Is an extension of that. This one is how-to, a handbook for anyone who wants to transform their classroom into one that is that follows this approach, the LAP approach, linguistically appropriate practice. So this book is divided into 5 chapters. And I'm just going to go through each chapter and tell you what each one offers, and then give you my conclusion and my impression. So chapter 1 is called LAP Basics, in which the author defines the terms to be used in the book and also provides the theoretical foundations for the approach. Chapter 2 is called LAP Teachers. Sorry, my notes are next to me on the floor. LAP Teachers, and describes in general terms what a LAP teacher does and what the practice looks like and what a LAP classroom looks like. And one of the statements that really jumped out at me from chapter 2 was this one. LAP teachers reject the notion of a silent period. That struck me because I had never really challenged the idea in my mind of a silent period, because when I am an additional language learner, I recognize that I have a period during which I am afraid to try to utter anything in the language I'm trying to acquire. But when I read what these teachers and these practitioners have to say about the idea of a silent period, I understood their rejection of that notion, because where they're coming from is, why would a child be silent in a classroom? Think about it. If you're taking a colonial approach and forbidding the use of the home language in the classroom, then yes, the intimidated child who is not yet fluent in the additional language will be silent. But if you welcome the home language and integrate the home language into the classroom in a way that is beneficial to everyone involved, all stakeholders, the teacher's aide, the students whose home language is the school language, and the children coming in as newcomers, then there's no silent period. Everyone's verbal all the time. Children naturally are. So that got me really excited to keep reading. In chapter 3 is called LAP Profiles, and in this chapter the author goes in more depth into what a LAP classroom looks like, gives examples of practices and examples from the field, not dreamt up theoretical examples, but the researchers and the author of this book, they went around Canada and around to different classrooms in the world and took examples from actual cases. So they give you case studies of teachers, of classrooms, of projects, of things that actually happened and how they turned out. Chapter 4 is called LAP Challenges. This is a chapter in which the author goes over the most frequently encountered challenges in transforming a classroom into a multilingual and multiliterate classroom, and then gives proven solutions to each of the challenges. So a typical challenge might be, parents and grandparents are bringing the child to the school and, sort of admonishing, now, here we are at the door of the school, it's English from here on out. Once I push you through that door, no more home language. You speak English here. They speak English here, or whatever the target language is. If we're in Sweden, then it's Swedish. But I'm just using the Canadian example. It would, in Anglophone Canada, it would be English. In Francophone Canada, it would be French. So that's a challenge because the child has been told you are not allowed to speak your home language once you cross that threshold. So how was that challenge dealt with? So concrete examples, concrete ideas for what can be done with each of the challenges. And that's only one. There are lots of challenges, but she takes each challenge one by one and shows, okay, here's what this school did and here's what works. Really exciting stuff. In chapter 5 is called LAP Resources. That's pretty much the end of the book before the conclusion, and it is just copious links, websites, downloads, ideas, everything you could possibly hope for if you plan to transform your child-minding program or your classroom. And I think this could extend to the adult classroom as well as a classroom full of children. And then she's got her conclusion at the end. And so my impression is that I was sent 2 copies so that I could hold a raffle, so that if one of you wants to own this book, would like to try to win it from me, I can send it out. And in the beginning, I didn't know if I would be highlighting in my copy and keeping it or including it so I could raffle off 2. Well, I'm keeping this. It is a fantastic resource. I am so excited. It's powerful. I think it's a must-own, must-read for any school principal, any administrator, any teacher, anywhere in the world where you have even one newcomer child who's coming in and having to learn the school language. So yeah, I'm very impressed, and I highly recommend this book. So I'm keeping mine, but if you would like to win the other copy, then please leave a comment either on the blog post or on the YouTube video page indicating that you want to be included in the draw. And I would say that within about a month, I will draw the name and send the extra copy off anywhere in the world. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this book review. Bye!